Proverbs 24, 1 through 34. Devotional focused verse. I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof. And the stone wall thereof was broken down. Then I saw and considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. Proverbs 24, 30 through 32. Last year, while driving through our fishing community, I noticed the boat of a young family man who lives nearby. It was beached, neglected, and partly submerged in water, though we were in the peak of the fishing season. As far as I knew, the man was healthy, but he and his family were subsisting on a government allowance. With some initiative, he could have been engaged in commercial fishery and providing for his family, but he apparently was choosing not to, so his boat sat idle. This scene reminded me of our focus verses, in which Solomon described the field and vineyard of the slothful. The land had been neglected, thorns and nettles flourished everywhere. As Solomon passed by, he observed that although the ground was fertile, the stone wall surrounding it was broken down, and nothing useful was growing in the field. Roman statesman Cato Major once said, "Wise men profit more by fools than fools by wise men. For wise men will learn from, the faults of fools, but fools will not imitate the virtues of the wise." In our text, Solomon not only observed the neglected field, but he considered it thoughtfully and received instruction. While Solomon did not state his conclusion, the implication is apparent. Wise individuals are diligent, make good use of potential at hand, and profit from their labors. The slothful have opportunities they do not take, obligations they do not fulfill, and potential they do not exercise, and in the end will find that their field is grown over with thorns. This proverb has a spiritual application. Our souls are our fields, and we have a responsibility. We can tend our souls diligently, making sure that we guard against encroaching weeds, or we can indifferently neglect our spiritual well-being. If the latter is our choice, in time our souls will be overgrown with thorns and nettles. The pride, covetousness, malice, and the inordinate lusts and passions which the fallen human nature produces. If no fence is erected, there is no safeguard to keep the enemy out. For those of us who have been forgiven and saved by Jesus' blood, we have a cultivated field we are charged to occupy till our Lord returns. We need to produce crops instead of weeds, and fruit instead of thorns, but that will take diligence. May we take advantage of today and work our fields. Background information. This chapter is a continuation of the third section of Proverbs, referred to as the words of the wise. The first 22 verses offer wise counsel to a son, while the concluding verses contain further prudent advice from wise sages. Verses 1 and 2 warn against associating with evil men because of the violence and trouble they devise. While some Bible scholars think the house referred to in verses 3 and 4 alludes to a family, others suggest it is symbolic of a man's character. The precious and pleasant riches possibly refer to the blessings a man receives through wise living. The implication of verses 5 and 6 is that the strength of wisdom is superior to brute force, and seeking wise counsel is advisable before entering into battle. This does not necessarily refer only to physical battles, but can also be applied to day-by-day challenges in general. The gate of the city was where judicial decisions and counsel were given. Verse 7 infers that wisdom is out of reach for the fool, because he has nothing worthwhile to offer. Verses 11 and 12 indicate that declining to help a person who is in mortal danger and then pleading ignorance is not acceptable. God perceives the motive of every heart and will judge accordingly. In verse 15, the wicked are warned against conspiring to harm the righteous. Verse 16 does not suggest that the righteous will sin, but rather that they may fall into difficult circumstances. The phrase 7 times was a Hebrew adage for frequently. The implication is that the righteous, with God's help, will rise up and keep going, while the calamity of the wicked will cause their lasting destruction. These things also belong to the wise. See verse 23. May indicate that this section of the book of Proverbs continues a group of sayings from various sages of that era. An honest answer is likened to a kiss in verse 26, meaning it will win respect and affection. The phrase build thine house in verse 27 could refer to marriage and having children. The implication is that it is needful for a man to prepare ahead of time so that he possesses the means to provide for his family. Conclusion: Solomon's indictment of the sluggard contains a spiritual warning for our day. Neglect or indifference regarding our spiritual well-being will have eternal consequences.
Proverbs chapter 24. Be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. For their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. Through wisdom is an house builded, and by understanding it is established. And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increaseth strength. For by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety. Wisdom is too high for a fool, he openeth not his mouth in the gate. He that deviseth to do evil shall be called a mischievous person. The thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. If thou forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain. If thou sayest, Behold, we knew it not, doth not he that pondereth the heart consider it? And he that keepeth thy soul, doth not he know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his works? My son, eat thou honey, because it is good, and the honeycomb, which is sweet to thy taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be unto thy soul, when thou hast found it, then there shall be a reward, and thy expectation shall not be cut off. Lay not wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous, spoil not his resting place. For a just man falleth 7 times, and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth. Lest the Lord see it, and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Fret not thyself because of evil men, neither be thou envious at the wicked. For there shall be no reward to the evil man, the candle of the wicked shall be put out. My son, fear thou the Lord and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. For their calamity shall rise suddenly, and who knoweth the ruin of them both? These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. He that saith unto the wicked, Thou art righteous, him shall the people curse, nations shall abhor him. But to them that rebuke him shall be delight, and a good blessing shall come upon them. Every man shall kiss his lips that giveth a right answer. Prepare thy work without, and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house. Be not a witness against thy neighbor without cause, and deceive not with thy lips. Say not, I will do so to him as he hath done to me, I will render to the man according to his work. I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. And, lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. Then I saw, and considered it well, I looked upon it, and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. so shall thy poverty come as one that travelleth, and thy want as an armed man.